Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something that I think everyone listening probably feels every single morning. The sheer amount of information out there, it's impossibly crowded, isn't it? It's overwhelming. And honestly, cutting through that noise, making sense of it all, that's become a real competitive advantage.
Oh, absolutely. More than just an advantage, I'd say it's almost a professional necessity now. If you miss that one critical piece of information in the flood, that signal in the noise, you're instantly behind.
Yeah.
So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. We want to help you stop just, passively consuming whatever the algorithms feed you, and instead start actively building your own structured intelligence network. And we're going to do that using RSS.
Right, RSS. Really simple syndication. Now, that might sound a bit dusty, like something from the early web. But we're saying this is like your personal high-speed newswire. So what's the absolute key difference? Why RSS over, say, just browsing social media or news sites?
Control and filtration. That's the core of it. RSS gives you total, completely unfiltered access to the sources you choose. And crucially, there's no algorithm deciding what you see or in what order.
Ah, okay. So unlike social platforms where engagement is king.
Exactly. They prioritize what keeps you scrolling, what sells ads. With RSS, you pick the source, a specific blog, a government agency feed, whatever, and you get every single update. Chronologically, completely. You decide what's important, not the platform.
And that control presumably saves time because you're not wading through irrelevant stuff.
Huge time savings.
Yeah.
Our sources consistently point to this. For anyone needing to stay current, setting up even a basic RSS strategy, you could easily save 30, maybe even 60 minutes a day.
Wow.
Yeah, you bypass the whole social media doom scroll, you skip the clickbait traps, and you get straight to the actual content, unmediated.
Right. Okay, so let's get into the tools. Because I think when people hear RSS reader, they picture something, well, pretty basic and old-fashioned. Clunky, maybe.
That's the old image, yeah. But today's tools, they're really sophisticated information processors. Genuine research platforms, some of them.
So what are we looking at? What's in the modern toolkit?
Okay, let's start with maybe the best known one, Feedly. Feedly's moved way beyond just listing articles. Its big thing is integrating machine learning. They call it Leo AI.
Leo AI. How does that work?
So instead of just showing you a raw feed, Leo looks at thousands of articles coming in from all your sources.
Yeah.
And it tries to create a personalized intelligence briefing for you based on topics you've told it are important.
Okay. An AI curating my news. That sounds efficient, definitely. But doesn't that bring back a bit of the filter bubble risk? Like, if the AI filters too much, am I missing those unexpected outlier stories that a human might catch?
That's a really valid point. It's the central tension, isn't it? Leo's strength is cutting down the sheer volume, but you train it. You teach it what's noise, what's vital, and critically, you can always flip back to the raw chronological feed anytime. The AI assists, it doesn't completely take over. Plus, Feedly has strong team features, shared boards, notes, great if you're collaborating on research or story ideas.
Okay, I like that balance AI assistance, but ultimate human control. What if my problem isn't just curation, but sheer volume? Like, I need to track thousands of sources simultaneously. Maybe I'm covering global markets or something incredibly fast-moving.
Right. For massive scale, you'd probably look at Inorator. Its architecture is built for handling huge numbers of feeds without choking. It's a workhorse.
And its strength is an AI, you said.
No, its core power lies in rule-based filtering. Really granular, complex rules. You can set things up like, if an article contains keyword X, and D is from publication Y, and D mentions person Z, then automatically star it, tag it urgent, and maybe even send it to my Evernote. It essentially lets you build an automated news processing engine tailored exactly to your needs.
That sounds incredibly precise, but maybe complex to set up initially. Is there a steep learning curve?
There is, yeah. It takes some upfront effort to build those rules effectively. It's not plug and play for the advanced stuff, but the daily time saving once it's running, astronomical. It does the sorting and routing for you, surfacing the critical stuff instantly.
Okay, powerful stuff. No, you mentioned another one, BazQuacks, having some really niche features, especially for investigators.
Yeah, BazQuacks has a couple of tricks up its sleeve. First is its memory. It offers full text search, not just on headlines or recent articles, but across the entire content of every article that's ever come into your feed history.
Whoa, so my entire reading history becomes a searchable database.
Exactly. Imagine needing to find that specific detail from an article you read 3 years ago. BazQuacks can potentially pull it up. It transforms your archive into a research tool. The second unique thing is its ability to track comments on articles. Most readers ignore comments.
Right, the comments section. often a place angels fear to tread. Why is tracking them useful?
Well, think about specific situations. A controversial new law is proposed. A major scientific paper drops. A company releases a flawed product. Seeing the immediate comments from actual experts, competitors, or people directly affected right there on the original source, that gives you raw, early insight into how something is being received and interpreted before the mainstream takes form. It's about gauging informed initial reaction.
That's a clever angle for context. Okay, moving on. Feed a bin. I hear that one praised for simplicity.
VBIN is definitely about a clean, distraction-free reading experience, very minimalist design. But its hidden power is in integrations, particularly its Twitter integration is excellent.
How so? Twitter's not exactly RSS friendly.
All right, VBIN lets you basically subscribe to specific Twitter accounts, and it turns their tweets into a standard chronological RSS feed within the reader. So you can follow key accounts without the algorithmic timeline, seeing everything in order. It bypasses Twitter's manipulation. It also does a great job extracting the full text of articles, even from sites that only provide partial feeds, keeping you inside the reader.
Neat trick. And finally, what about privacy and security, especially crucial for journalists handling sensitive stuff?
Absolutely critical. For that, you really need to look at NetNewsWire. It's an open source option primarily for Apple users, macOS and iOS.
Open source. Okay. What's the key benefit there?
Data sovereignty. Unlike most cloud-based readers where your subscription list, your reading habits, everything is stored on their servers, NetNewsWire stores all your data locally on your own device by default.
Ah, so the provider doesn't necessarily know exactly what feeds I'm following or what I'm reading?
Precisely. For journalists working on sensitive investigations, tracking controversial groups, or protecting sources, that local storage is a massive privacy advantage. Your research patterns remain your own.
Okay, so we've got this amazing array of tools. Sophisticated, powerful, but like you said earlier, a tool's only as good as the strategy behind it. We can't just subscribe to everything under the sun and expect magic, right?
Yeah.
How do we organize this potential fire hose to actually match what we need for a specific beat?
Right. The organization has to be super intentional. It needs to mirror how you actually think about and cover your beat. Let's take political news as an example. Where do you start?
Government sources, presumably? Press releases?
Exactly. Baseline is official feeds. Congressional offices, regulatory agencies, EPA, FCC, etc. Direct press release channels from departments. That's your primary source material for policy.
But politics is all about different perspectives, different spins. How do you manage that without getting trapped in one viewpoint?
That's where folder structure is critical. You absolutely must create separate folders or collections for different political viewpoints and think tanks. Have a folder for left-leaning sources, one for right-leaning, maybe one for libertarian or specific single-issue groups.
Why separate them so explicitly?
Because it forces you to see the contrasts. When the same event, say, a Supreme Court ruling or an economic report gets framed completely differently across those folders, that's your big red flag. It signals a controversial high-interest story where the interpretation is contested. You're actively looking for those discrepancies. It keeps your perspective balanced.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears. Tech reporting. Things move incredibly fast there. How do we get beyond just the official product announcements?
Yeah, press releases are lagging indicators in tech. You need to follow the builders and the funders. So definitely include official company blogs, especially engineering or developer blogs. Watch for changes in developer documentation. Very important. And crucially, monitor GitHub repositories for key open source projects or company contributions. That's where the actual code is changing.
Okay, that gives you a view into current development. What about looking further ahead, that 6-12-month glimpse you mentioned?
For that, you need more specialized feeds. Number 1, patent application feeds. Search for patents filed by companies you track or in specific technology areas. That shows R&D direction. Number 2, feeds from startup accelerators like Y Combinator or Techstars and major venture capital firms. They're announcing investments and talking about trends months, sometimes years, before those things hit the mainstream market. They signal where the money and innovation are flowing next.
That's brilliant. Following the patents and the VC money. Okay, business reporting. Speed is often key there, especially with financial news.
Speed is paramount. Your absolute must-haves are investor relations pages for the specific companies you cover. Get their press release feeds, but for mandated instant disclosures, you have to be subscribed to SEC filing feeds.
SEC filings? You mean like the official ADJR system? How fast do those actually hit an RSS reader? Is it really faster than, say, the Bloomberg terminal or Reuters?
Yes. The official ADGR feeds from the Securities and Exchange Commission. These are the 8Ks, 10Qs, earnings announcements, acquisition details, executive changes, all the mandatory stuff. And because a good RSS reader pulls directly from that government source feed, potentially with minimal delay, you can often see that filing hit your reader seconds after it's officially published. Sometimes, yes, even before it's fully processed and reported by the major wire services. It's a genuine edge.
Wow. Okay, pure gold for financial journalists. And what about understanding the competitive landscape in an industry?
Again, use folders or collections strategically. Create distinct feed groups for direct competitors within the same industry. So if you cover airlines, have a folder for Delta, one for United, one for American, etc. This makes it incredibly easy to spot divergences in strategy or performance. One company announces massive expansion while another announces layoffs. Seeing them side by side highlights industry trends, competitive pressures, and potential stories you'd miss looking at them in isolation.
Very smart. Finally, sports reporting. Seems like a mix of official news and, increasingly, data.
Absolutely. You need the official team and league news feeds, of course, roster moves, injury reports, but you absolutely have to layer in specialized sites focused on statistical analysis and advanced metrics. Things like sabermetrics in baseball or advanced stats in basketball. These often predict performance shifts or player value changes before they're obvious.
And what about the local angle?
Crucial. Don't forget the local beat reporters. Subscribe to their blogs or feeds if they have them. They're the ones that practice every day in the locker room. They often provide those granular details, injury updates, or locker room mood insights that national coverage completely misses. Real nuggets there.
Okay, the system is built, the strategy is in place. Let's talk about the payoff, that competitive edge. Getting the scoop before it's trending everywhere. How does RSS help with that immediate awareness?
Precision filtering and alerts are key here. Setting up custom keyword alerts is non-negotiable. Identify those very specific terms, jargon, people's names, or even legislative bill numbers that are unique and critical to your beat. Configure your reader so that anytime those exact keywords appear in any of your feeds, that article gets instantly flagged, starred, maybe even pushed to you as a notification. It cuts through the daily volume to highlight must-see items now.
So you're not waiting to stumble upon it.
Exactly. And for reporters covering specific areas, cities, counties, regions, the geographically specific feed strategy is huge.
How does that work in practice?
You actively monitor local government websites, planning boards, council meetings, police blotters it's available, hyper-local news sites, even community forums or neighborhood blogs via RSS if possible. This is often where news breaks first. A local zoning decision impacting a big developer, a public health notice about contamination, a specific crime trend. It surfaces locally long before national outlets pick it up. It gives you crucial lead time.
Right, getting ahead of the curve by focusing ultra-local. Now, beyond just immediate alerts, you've emphasized turning RSS into a long-term research system. Talk about comparative coverage.
This builds on the folder strategy we discussed. When a major story is developing, you create a temporary or permanent collection pulling in coverage of that specific story from multiple sources, maybe 5 or 6 different outlets with varying perspectives. Reading them side by side instantly illuminates different angles, highlights disputed facts, shows what context one source includes and another omits. It's a powerful way to critically analyze the reporting itself and spot the gaps, the unanswered questions, the areas where your reporting can add unique value.
And we can even automate some of the research logistics. You mentioned tools like IFTTT and Zapier. For those unfamiliar, what do they do?
Think of IFTTT, if this, then that, and Zapier as like digital glue. They connect different web services and apps together. In an RSS context, you could set up a rule like, if an article in my key investigation feed gets starred, then automatically save its link and summary to a specific spreadsheet in Google Sheets, or a database in Notion or Airtable. Or, if an article tagged industry trend appears, then automatically email the headline and link to my team's distribution list. It automates the tedious parts of collecting and distributing important finds.
Streamlining the workflow. Nice. Let's talk about the compounding value over time, the archive advantage.
This is where consistent use really pays off. If you diligently tag articles as you read them by theme, key people, organizations, ongoing issues relevant to your beat, you're not just reading, you're actively building a personalized, searchable knowledge base. Over months and years, this archive becomes incredibly valuable.
How so? What does it reveal?
It lets you instantly pull up historical context. Has this company faced this kind of regulatory issue before? Search your archive. What was Expert X saying about this topic 2 years ago? Search your archives. It helps you spot recurring problems, track the evolution of an issue, identify patterns of behavior, or find that crucial historical precedent that provides depth to your current reporting. It connects the dots in a way that Googling just can't replicate easily.
A personal institutional memory. Love that. And finally, let's circle back to privacy. We touched on NetNewsWire, but generally, how does RSS compare to social media for privacy?
It's fundamentally more private. Massively so. When you use an RSS reader, the publisher of the feed typically only receives very basic access information, essentially, that some reader, identified by an IP address perhaps, and the reader's user agent, requested the feed file. They don't get granular data about you specifically, your engagement, what else you read, your demographics, like social platforms do.
So my research stays much more confidential.
Yes. Your curated list of sources, the specific keywords you're tracking, the patterns of your reading that intelligence gathering remain shielded, the platforms you might be monitoring, the companies you're investigating, the individuals you're researching, they can't easily track your specific interest in them through your RSS activity. It protects your research process.
Yeah.
And honestly, this whole intentional approach really embodies a core journalistic principle, doesn't it? Actively seeking out primary sources and unmediated content.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's try to sum this up for you listening. We've basically laid out how investing maybe, an hour or two up front to set up a good RSS system can yield significant daily time savings, give you way more control over your information diet, and build a private, structured intelligence network. Speed, control, competitive edge.
Couldn't say it better. And maybe one final thought to leave you with. It's this idea of passive knowledge acquisition. Think about it. Once this system is humming along, your RSS reader is working for you 24/7. It's collecting, filtering, maybe even tagging relevant information in the background while you're busy writing, interviewing, doing other work.
So you're essentially building expertise even when you're not actively reading.
Exactly. Your knowledge base is constantly growing, deepening. So consider this. What hidden connections, what long-forgotten details, what insightful historical context might you uncover when your personalized research system has been diligently collecting this targeted, unmediated data for 6 months, a year? That consistent, intentional gathering builds a depth of understanding that's really hard to replicate any other way.
A knowledge base that gets smarter and more valuable the longer you use it. Powerful stuff. That's our deep dive for today.